This morning I've walked over to Douglas railway station on the Isle of Man as I'm going to be catching the train to Port Erin with my friend Richard. The station building at the bottom of the steps was completed in 1892, with the iron and glass canopy added in 1909. To the right of the main building is the old stable block, which now houses public toilets and some garages. And at the platform end is what appears to be a porter's cabin, but it is in fact also the main signal control for the station area too. A single island now makes up the two remaining platforms at the station, and each has a runaround loop too. Now there used to be a canopy over the platform, but this had to be demolished in about 1980. Stepping inside, the interior has been altered a number of times, but now it includes a ticket counter with associated gift shop and a cafe area too. The inner harbour is very close to the station, so I've got some time to stretch my legs along here. So here we are at the inner harbour at Douglas, and just behind me, just beyond the harbour, is the railway station where I'm going to be meeting Richard in a little while, and we're going down to Port Erin. Just careful I don't fall in the water here. I won't be describing the trip because when I meet Richard I'll leave that to him. But safe to say, we're going on a steam train. Hey! So I'll catch you at the station when we meet Richard. Now the writing up there says Douglas Corporation Electric Power Station 1922. Walking back through the vehicle entry gates, there's an old next train depart sign here. Oh, and I've also got myself a coffee and a very nice slice of cheesecake. And here's the man himself.
Gossip from the taxi driver about places to eat in Port Erin. Yeah, so that was good. Very good.
This is a place to eat here.
Well, yes, I can see that. I might have a nice cup of tea. I will do that.
Just through there.
Yes, through there.
Our train is just working in from Port Erin, but there's still plenty of time before we leave this morning. As you'd expect, the loco needs to run around, but it must also have a trip to the yard for more water and probably some more coal too. Good morning, Richard. So we finally made it here to Douglas Station, and I know that because over there it says...
Oh yeah, that's a bit of a clue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, very good. Yes, so Douglas Station, the remaining part of the steam railway network is this line from Douglas down to Port Erin in the south, which is about 15.5 miles. The network used to be much more extensive. It used to be over 40 miles, 46, something like that.
Yeah, very extensive. So where was that?
And that went not only to Port Erin but also to Peel and to Ramsey. The line to Ramsey actually went from Peel rather than from Douglas, and there was a branch going from Peel down to the south as well, so right. It was really quite extensive. And plus, of course, going to Ramsey, we've got the Maitland electric railway, of which more tomorrow. The original line was built to Peel in 1873. This one we're on down to Port Erin in 1874. So last year, 2024, was the 150th anniversary.
So one thing I noticed was a little archway with a sign over it just in front of us, and there's two gentlemen of certain age, one who's had a big cup of tea and one who's had a coffee. Just like to point out that the train ride's going to be about an hour long. Yep. And it has no toilet facilities.
Well, as far as we know.
As far as we know. Well,
I don't think it does.
Judging by all the people who got off that incoming train and went straight into the toilets.
Absolutely. I did take the precaution of using springs before I left the hotel. Maybe I should do the same before we get on the train, which will be in about 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so we'll see you on the train.
Bye.
And about 10 minutes before departure, they opened up the gate and began to check tickets. So here we are on the platform. Of course, the plan is to get a compartment to ourselves, but it is still a little busy this morning.
I sat here. I could glower out of the window.
Yeah. So the question was, do you sit at the front, near the train, so you get the chuff chuff.
Yeah, we're on the train, near the engine.
Good point. So the question was, do you sit right at the front of the train near the engine, or do you sit at the back so that when it curves around you get that lovely shot with the camera as it curves around? So obviously you, the viewer, has a preference, and we've chosen we're sitting at the back.
Maybe we'll be at the front on the return journey, so we have the best of both worlds.
Good point, well made, Richard. The train departs Douglas spot on time at 11:50, and we have been joined by Tanya and Andy, who proved to be most agreeable travelling companions. As we leave, we pass the railway sheds, which are quite extensive given the scope of the line. And our first obstacle is the River Douglas, but we are soon across and chuffing along through the countryside. There's great sea views here, and below us is the inlet that forms Port Soderick, and we will swing inland for the station of the same name. Incidentally, the Isle of Man Railway was built to a 3-foot or 914mm gauge, and much of its rolling stock dates all the way back to the 19th century, although we are riding coach F45, which was built by Metro Camel in 1913. Santon is a request stop, and we don't stop, and so the man here can quickly get back to white lining the platform edges.
Just past the Ferry Bridge. When you pass that on the road, certainly you have to say hello to themselves, otherwise it's bad luck.
Hello to themselves. There appears to be extensive building at Ballasalla, but the station remains exceedingly cute. Now there's 2 tracks here, but trains use just the one platform. Up and down trains are scheduled to cross at Castletown. And as it's a single track line, they also swap tokens, allowing each other to proceed, but more of that later. Castletown is by far the most popular of the intermediate stations, and Richard tells me it's well worth a visit. And on leaving the station, we cross the Silver Burn, which drains into the sea at Castletown. This dark squarish building is marked Southern 100 Race Control. The TT motorcycle races will take place about 2 weeks after our visit, so they are already getting the infrastructure in place all over the island. Tanya and Andy are enjoying the ride just as much as we are, and Richard, he's keeping track on where we are with his OS map. And it's now I find out that Richard once did a stint as a navigator in a rally car. Just like Ballasalla, Colby looks to be a 2-platform station where only 1 platform is generally used. We pull into our last stop at Port St Mary past the aptly named Railway Station Hotel. Port St Mary Station really is quite a grand affair. There's even what looks like an old goods or locomotive shed at the end of the platform. And here we are at Port Erin, where we are both quite keen to get something to eat before we head back to Douglas. And luckily the taxi driver's tip for a good pub was a winner. Right, hang around a bit, get the engine to run round then.
Should we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
That's better.
Yes, well, that all went well. Train was on time. All good so far, yes.
Yeah, trundling along.
Absolutely.
Interesting, these are marked as 1. Oh yes, I think the seat backs are a bit higher.
Incidentally, our loco today is a 240 tank number 11 Maitland. Built in 1905 for the railway by Beyer Peacock, and it's only been back in service since 2022. Port Erin has both a lovely bay and a little railway museum, and both are worth a visit. The station itself is also pretty well preserved and includes a cafe. However, we're going to be hopping on the train again for the return trip at 1400. Back in carriage F45, we decide to upgrade ourselves to first class.
Oh yeah.
Now I'll pop outside and get some more shots of our locomotive, which incidentally is named after Dalrymple Maitland, who was chairman of the railway. Mind you, he was also chairman of the Steam Packet Company and the Isle of Man Bank, and Speaker of the House of Keys. Now obviously I'm sure there were no conflicts of interest there whatsoever. Once we get going, the train hits what we think is the ruling line speed of 25 miles per hour. And then at Castletown, Richard gets to record the very slick exchange of tokens between the two trains as they cross. It's great fun riding behind the engine with the steam in your hair and the soot in your eyes. Suddenly realised we forgot to do a seat review, so over to Richard for the seat review.
Yes, so here we are in allegedly first class. So I might have mentioned before, we got nice pictures both sides of the compartment of the Isle of Man Railway logo etched into the mirror. The seats beat hard, nice moquette as you can see, but no armrests. Really could do with some armrests, you know. There's nothing on that side either. Well, do that I suppose, yes. So, yeah, not too bad. It's only an hour anyway, so we cope. Well, here we are at Ballasalla.
What is the story behind this structure? Do put in a comment if you know. Santon still has no passengers, and there's still some white painting left to do on the platform edge. And then we're treated to a carpet of bluebells under the trees. The station building here at Port Soderick is for sale. You know, I think I'm going to need as many views as Jeff Marshall before I can make an offer on that one. Well, this has been a really fun run. Now, a return ticket for the train will cost you £17 in 2025, but Richard and I have purchased 5-day Go Explore cards that cost £51, and that includes a £2 fee for the card itself. Now, this can be a great saving as the card covers all the attractions that we are visiting this week, and it also includes all buses on the island too. That was a great trip, and I hope you enjoyed it too. And as we roll into Douglas, there's just time to see a couple of recent arrivals, 2 ex-Irish diesel hydraulics. So I hope you enjoyed this trip on the Isle of Man Steam Railway, and if you have, then give it a like, and if you haven't already, do subscribe to the channel for more adventures such as this. And when it's available, you'll be able to see our trip on the Manx Electric Railway right here.